are three processes of memory: encoding to put it in, storage to lock it up, and retrieval to get it out. Forgetting is going to occur if there's any problem at one of these steps. So first, let's try an experiment. I want you to draw the face of a penny. So hopefully you've got a pencil and paper in front of you. If not, then I'll give you a chance to find one. And I just want you to draw the face of a penny. Okay. So hopefully you've been able to make a quick sketch. So my first question to you is, who's on the face of a penny? Okay, if you said Abraham Lincoln, then you're right. Now my next question is he facing to the right or to the left? All right, we'll see about that. What words are on the penny? There's three separate sets of words. Is the word 1 cent on the penny? Is the date at the bottom of the penny? So I would imagine that if we were in a class and I was asking these questions, a lot of different people in the class would have different answers. And that's interesting because each one of you knows what a penny is. Each one of you has carried a penny. Each one of you has touched a penny, seen a penny virtually every single day of your life since you were like 2 years old. You played with pennies. And yet when I ask you these questions, which way is the president facing on the penny? Is there a 1 cent on the bottom? We'll find out that you probably didn't know. In fact, I would doubt that out of this whole class of 40 people, probably there's no one in here, or maybe there's one or two of you in here that actually got all of it right. Let's see what a penny looks like. So here we go. We had "In God We Trust" is across the top. We have "Liberty" on the left. We have Lincoln facing to the right. And we have the date and the mint on there. The reason why, even though you've seen a penny millions of times, you can't remember it is because I'm trying to demonstrate a very important principle called an encoding failure. So the penny experiment is demonstrating an encoding failure. The reason why you can't remember it is because you probably never put it in. You just learned, okay, a penny is worth 1 cent, it's brown, and that's all I need to know. So when I ask you the details about a penny, you have a really hard time figuring out the details. So that's your first important lesson, is the penny experiment is an example of an encoding failure. You never put the information in. So let me ask you, how many times in lecture, even probably my lecture that you're listening to right now, that you're right in front of the computer, you have no other stimulation, you're probably daydreaming going in and out of the lecture. And so then when you're asked details about a lecture, if you were daydreaming going in and out, which is a very natural thing to do, to daydream, that's just, our brain is set up to do that. Unless I can command extensive attention, then your brain is set up to actually always want to be stimulated. So we have a tendency to be daydreaming. But then when you're asked details about something on the test, you never really put that information in, so you can't get it back out. So the first thing, in order to prepare for all your tests that are coming up this semester, is that you really, really should be taking well-detailed notes and trying everything possible to try to keep yourself on track with paying attention, because if you never pay attention and never put it in your brain, you definitely can't get it out. Okay, so now let's talk about the storage process here. So this is the way that you can control encoding is to really pay attention to things, really make sure that you put it in there, you thought about it, you know you put it in there. But with storage, this is more of a biological process. This is one that the only way that I can recommend to increase the storage in your brain is to have a good nutrition, not be stressed, to get a good night's sleep. So with me saying that, when is the best time to study? What we find is probably to increase storage, it's probably best. So we're looking at storage and we're asking when is the best time to study? According to memory research, it would be best for you to study before you go to sleep. So if you consider this information, this might be helpful for you. So like I said, storage is a biological process and sleep seems to aid it. So here's one group of students over here, and here's the data from another group of students. These students right here, they went about their daily activities after learning the material. So it would be like you guys get up in the morning, you listen to this lecture, and then you go on to do your work or do whatever. These students over here, they learned the material and then they got to go to sleep right afterwards, and they were awakened and asked to recall the amount of material. So as you can see, after 1 hour they remembered 80%. After 1 hour over here they remembered 90%. That's not a huge difference, but let's look at some more time. So after 2 hours this group remembered 60%, and after 2 hours over here this group remembered 80%. After 8 hours, this group remembered 30%, and after 8 hours over here, this group remembered 70%. Now that's a huge difference. So one thing that seems to be able to aid storage is sleep. Let's see another thing that could aid storage. Some of you might be saying, but my class is at 8 a.m. in the morning. There's no way that I can sleep right after I learn the information. This is understandable, but I would advise it. Another good practice would be taking time to organize the information in a meaningful way right after learning it. So this picture right here is the forgetting curve. It's a very famous. It's from Hermann Ebbinghaus. Ebbinghaus is the name right here. And what he did is he learned nonsense syllables, like words that had no meaning. They were just nonsense. And he was testing his recall. And he found that, okay, he's learned the list perfectly. He's got 100% retention. But then just after 20 minutes, there's a huge drop. So within 20 minutes, he's down to 60% of the information. Then after an hour, we're to like 50%. After 9 hours, we're down to 30%. And now we're at 2 days. Once you've lost the majority of information, it seems to stabilize. So what we want to learn about this forgetting curve is that the majority of forgetting occurs after approximately right after learning. So you have a huge drop in memory, you have a huge memory loss after just 20 minutes. So the reason why I'm sharing this with you is that what I would recommend is after you listen to your lectures or when you're going from class to class, if you could just take 5 to 10 minutes, maybe while the teacher from your next class is taking roll or something, or stay after your first class just for extra 5 minutes, and start to try to organize the information that you've just learned. Go over it again so you can save a little bit more, because as soon as you walk away from a classroom, the information is going to start disintegrating. Okay? It says, check out this study which compared students who reviewed their notes on a daily basis from students who didn't. So, let me just see if I can pull this over for you a little bit more. There we go. Hopefully that will help you out. Okay, so there was this study where it says reviewing after class each day, or at least before you go to bed, will help recall. On the graph shows at the end of 9 weeks, those who reviewed their notes within a day recalled about 75% of the information. Those who did not review their notes were unable to recall even 50% of the information after 1 day, and only a little bit more than 20% of the information after 9 weeks. So my whole goal in teaching this memory chapter is to try to help you be more efficient. You've decided to take this class online, which would tell me that you're probably a very busy person, which all of us are, and so it helps to be as most efficient as possible. So Actually, cramming for 2 hours right before a test is probably less efficient than just studying for 15 minutes a day for 4 days in a row. So it seems like putting in daily time on a regular basis actually is more efficient than spending long periods of time after allowing time to pass after you've learned something. Okay, it says, it may be helpful in terms of storage and retrieval to understand how memories are stored in the brain. Our long-term memories are stored in a neural web in the cortex. However, a structure in our lower brain, which this seems to be cut off for you, but I can read it over here. It says a structure in our lower brain called the hippocampus acts like a keyboard or filing system to transfer memory from short-term to long-term memory and to organize memories. So, here's the hippocampus right here. It's this area right here. When the information comes in, this acts like a filing cabinet or like a, it'd be kind of like your keyboard. Up here on the cortex right here, this would be like where all the folders are stored in your computer. So here's your computer, your C drive, okay, your hard drive. All of your memories are stored up here in folders. But what organizes and allows you to access that would be the hippocampus. So here's the hippocampus, and here's where all the information is stored. It's stored up here in neural networks. So this amygdala here is the emotional center of the brain. So when you think about it, we all know that the memories that we tend to remember are emotional. And the reason, one of the reasons is this is the amygdala. It's responsible for emotional behavior. It works in tandem with the hippocampus. So when something is very emotional, it sends messages to the hippocampus, hey, this needs to be stored. And why do we store more emotional memories? Because emotional memories actually help us survive. And when you think about it, the brain's whole role in life is to survive. And so anything that could affect our survival must be stored.